Welcome back to another video with Garel's Garage, guys. What you see in the front is entirely going to change the look of Mr. Bling over here. Now, I myself, I'm not a fan of any sort of fairing. I really admire the naked look of the bike. In my opinion, the tank itself and the way engine looks really defines the beauty of the bike. However, I couldn't bypass this fairing. I've been having my eyes on this for almost a year or so now. I'm still not sure if I'm going to be putting all the parts and pieces from this kit. Uh, as I said earlier, I really like the naked look, but hey, if it all turns out really good, then I might keep it. But for sure, the headlight fairing, I am definitely going to put on. The side panels I'm debating on, but I'm going to give it a try and see how they come out. So yeah, stick around. We go over the details, where you can purchase this, the materials, all the bits and pieces within the kit, and why I actually went with this option. So this kit is designed and manufactured by a company called Autolog, and they're based in India. Um, and I'll quickly go over the parts. First, you will see a belly pan. Obviously, this goes underneath the engine, and then the kit includes two side panels. These go on left and right sides of the engine, and then you get a radiator mount, uh, which actually holds these side panels, so it all ties in together. And of course, we get brackets for these side panels, including the front headlight fairing. All the hardware is also included, nuts, bolts, all washers, everything's in there. Uh, Now talking about the material. So this is an FRP, fiber reinforced plastic, which is actually extremely durable. It is a lot tougher than acrylic plastic. This is not a sponsored video. I did fully pay with my hard-earned money. And one quick drawback that I do want to point out in the beginning is if you are located outside of India, uh, which many of you are, the shipment is going to cost you the same amount of price of the kit itself. So just a heads up out there. Now onto the pros. Um, First thing that catches my eye is the craftsmanship and the engineering behind this. For example, this is with all the parts, not just with the side panels. As you can see, where exactly the curves are, the materials get thicker, uh, and materials tend to get thinner as the material straightens out, which is a good sign to avoid all the dents, cracks. So really thoughtful process. As far as the finish, the paint is well done, and you have the option to customize it to your need. You can get it in any color. I just got it in standard black because I have my own plans what I'm going to do with it. But yeah, moving on to the brackets. Also, again, the way these are designed and engineered, the cutouts, which reduces the weight, so makes it lighter. And however, a couple of the pieces, the paint is chipped off. That's not a concern because I could just spray another coat on it. But again, if you're paying this much amount of money, details matter, right? So the paint job on the brackets, definitely a thumbs down. They could have been better. I really feel like it's just a single quote, which you can easily scratch it off. However, the panels, all the FRP material, thumbs up. Uh, the radiator mount, again, as you can see, the corners are thick enough to counter that flex as the air, as you ride this at a higher speed, as the air pressure will throw at it. But again, the middle part, I have some concerns as it's quite flexible. But I'm pretty sure as the brackets on the side, these hold the side panels, this is not going to flex at all. So it might be engineering on their end where they're trying to save the weight. You know, all in all, the weight of the entire kit is about 25-ish pounds. So definitely a heads up if you're going to be adding roughly a 25 to 30 pounds. So we went over all the details of pros and cons. Now, why I specifically chose this kit over all the other ones in the market. Uh, Now, before I came across this one, I was really interested in another kit that actually was a two-piece. So it had the headlight fairing, as well as the drawback on that one was where the side panels entirely covered the engine and got tied with the belly pan, of course. But I did not like the design of that because I dig the naked look, and I feel like the beauty withholds within the engine. And this is where I'm still debating if I'm gonna keep this, but this still meets my expectations where this doesn't cover the entire engine. You will still be able to display the Royal Enfield engraved sign. Uh, the spark plugs can still be accessed. So technically, if I try to place this, trying to do my best, as you can see, half of the engine, the spark plug is still visible. You have all this room to work around with throttle cables, anything. You don't have to get in the process of taking this on and off, and I really like that. Another plus point is because the way this is designed, the vents on this, and it's not entirely covering the engine, the heat is not going to get trapped, right? So of course, as you're riding this, the air will flow, and the hot air actually will be forced by the cold air to exit out through these vents. And the other half, because it's already open, which will help the heat escape a lot faster. So again, yeah, this is another reason why I chose this kit. I had this question, and I'm sure many of you will too, is, hey, how is this going to fit with the aftermarket headers, and how's the heat going to work with the side panels? Because the aftermarket headers tend to get heat up real quick. Coming to the details, the stock header pipes, they're dual wall. So yes, it takes longer for them to heat up, but it also takes longer for them to cool down. Where these are single walls, so yes, they get heat up real fast, but compared to the stock ones, these cool down way faster. Put the stock headers on, take the bike for a 10-minute ride, park it, it will at least take 8 to 10 minutes for the pipes to cool down, come to a normal temperature where you can actually touch it. And take the aftermarket header pipes for a ride for 10 minutes, park it, within less than 3 minutes, you'll be able to touch the headers. Because I have done that myself, so I am sure the heat is not going to be the problem for these. Because the way the front panels are designed, the air is actually this space is open in the front. So the cold air is going to hit that and cool that down, where the cold air will still sneak through and try to push that hot air out of those side panel vents. Now, as far as fitment, these tech headers are almost close to the stock specs, but don't quote me on that. I am going to do a full installation video on this where I can actually answer that for you, where if this is going to work or not. But as far as heat, thumbs up, it shouldn't be a concern. So I still have yet to clean this. However, I have not found a spot where the paint is chipped. And when I say that, I mean I have looked through the holes as well where for the bolts. All the panels look really neat and clean. And this is where I was mentioning, the brackets could have been better. It's like a single quote on there, but again, not a big deal. The welds on these look pretty good, pretty sturdy. All right, guys, so I'm pretty sure I covered everything that I had in mind. However, I do want to share my experience with this company because this is not sponsored, or even if it was, I was going to share my honest review, which I do. Uh, the customer service, mm, it's not a thumbs down or a thumbs up. But I was not really satisfied with it because when I, they're really responsive when you try to reach out to them as you're trying to book this kit and customize it within your own way. But once you have made that single transaction internationally. Uh, I didn't get a response till 2 weeks, and I was within those 2 weeks I was reaching out to them, trying to get an update, and that's a little scary part. When you transfer such amount of money over or internationally and you don't get an update for at least 2 weeks in. And yes, in the end, finally, the tracking number did came. The shipment reached here within 3 days once I got the tracking number. No damages. The packing was real nice. I'll drop some pictures up on the screen for packaging. And but the thing is, I felt like once you make the payment, the customer service tends to die down. And I did not get the original quote. Initially, the person that I spoke to at first. So just to give you a background, I reached out to their through their WhatsApp number. Um, the person I spoke to was real nice. They gave me all the details, all answered all the questions I had regarding material, manufacturing, the fitment, um, and the person actually offered me, free tank pads. It gave me 10% discount because this was around Christmas time, and around that time, I still felt like the shipment was way too expensive, so I technically didn't go with that deal. And a few months down, I reached out again to the same person. However, someone else picked up the conversation from there. And the original 10% that they offered me at that time, that was gone, right? And as you can see, no, I still don't have the tank pads. I'm not complaining about it. I am willing to pay for the stuff. I'm not all about, free things. But one thing I don't understand is when someone is so passionate for your kit and is not a local and trying to order it from you specifically, um, and I'm sure in future these guys they're crafty. They're crafty. They can make good sort of stuff for any bikes, and they have a bunch of models on their website. They make it for the 500s, the 350s. There's stuff for the Himalayans. All sort of things, right? So I'm sure this is not the last purchase I'm going to do with them, right? So if I like something in the future, I would again reach out to that's building up customer connection. I think that's the part that kind of turned me off, where I'm just like, this is it. If I want to do something near future, I'll probably look at something locally. So that was me boring you with my talks for I don't know how long, like 5 6 minutes. I am going to do a complete installation of this. I'm going to break it down into two parts because it's going to be really detailed. Uh, it's going to involve removing the blinkers, the headlight and the tank also, because the brackets are going to go underneath the tank to certain holes within the frame. And yeah, so it's a detailed process, right? So I'm sure I'm going to take my time, like I always do, explaining the little details. And a little disappointment because the kit did not come with any instructions. And I even looked at their website. There is no PDF provided where you can download. So all you get is two baggies for the hardware and this labeled bag for the Weiser bushing screws. So and there's various type of bolts in here. Of course, we have the typical hexagon. You have the Allen head type, and then there's different lengths and threads. So I am going to try my best to lay this out and make it as simple as I can. To break it down quickly, the bag that includes the washers and nuts contains the typical hexagon head bolts along with the Allen bolts. So that bag is specifically for the headlight frame. Um, Now the bag that only comes with the Allen head bolts and just the nuts but no washers, that is for the side panel and the belly that goes underneath. Alright guys, so to begin the installation, you'll have to remove the tank in order to access these two holes that are on a plate that is welded to the frame. Later you will be bolting on this plate to those holes. So I'm sure there's other videos out there that explain how to remove the tank, but briefly going over, you need to remove these two breather hoses, this plug, which is a simple pinch and pull, another plug that gets attached to the tank, and then this is the main fuel line. The plug on this is quite sensitive, so make sure as you're yanking that, it's just a matter of pinching the plug from both ends, front and back, and pulling it out. Alright guys, so a quick update on this plate. For the top bolt, make sure you use the short hexagon head bolt for the top, because if you do use the longer one, it is going to contact the inner frame. And same thing is happening on the bottom one. I'm not even able to make the small one go through. And there's actually no way to put that nut, because the way it is angled downwards, and you cannot physically put a nut behind it. And there's no way to, put the bolt in reverse order either. So my game plan is I'm just going to put a screw in the bottom one, top one. Make sure you use a short one. And there are a couple other hurdles that I'm going through. Let me walk you through those. So the problem that I encountered was these plates, these brackets are not evenly made. The right side is actually shorter in length compared to the left side, and that's one of the issues. Second is I did some home engineering here where I put some nuts to space them out, because once these are pinched clamped, these far ends come real close, and actually no way to slide the headlight in. So what I ended up doing was I put some nuts as a spacer in the middle. I had to physically bend these to a certain angle to make them even on both sides. So now I'm able to actually slide the headlight unit in. And as you can see, I have these loosely mounted, but these are far closer to how it actually came, which I'm surprised, because like I said, spending this much money for such a premium quality kit, and next thing you know, the brackets are not even identical. That's disappointing. Looking from the side, again here, I'm just using the two short bolts in the back. So what I'm doing is bolt, washer, washer, nut. And then, of course, for the front one, because I have the spacers in there, I'm actually using the longer ones. Now onto this bracket that actually gets tied to these radiator bolts. So simply, you'll have to slide this bar on top of this existing mount and just use longer bolts and washers to secure that in place. Right when I thought I was gonna have it easy, I completely forgot about these. The original headlight and blinker holders. So in order to take these out, the clip-ons gotta go away. And then in order to take the clip-ons off, the T fork, that needs to be removed. So you got to do all of that in order to slide these out, put everything back together. Part 2 will be coming up shortly. Thanks for watching and hearing me out on all the details that I had to point out. And till next time, take care.